Welcome to Triple F, bringing life to your faith, family, and finance.
Welcome everyone to Triple F, to our show. This is exciting time here in the month of September. We got a great show lined up for you throughout the whole entire month. And today we have a very special show that we catered directly for you, kicking off how to strengthen your faith here at Triple F, right? This faith, family, and finance. And so we're excited. We got a special guest speaker with us today to be able to glean and gain some wisdom from her journey and her experience here with faith. But we're going to dive into our mission here real quick. If we can get to that slide, that would be great. Yes. So at Triple F, well, this is not just something we're trying to do. We are doing it, right? And our mission is to equip people in the area of faith, family, and finance. And it's our desire to add value to people's lives by helping them reinforce their faith, building a stronger relationship with their family, and helping people elevate their finances. Guys, who doesn't want those things? And most people desire for those things, but don't have no direction, no confirmation, or mechanisms to attain it. And here at Triple F, we try to support you through that process. So let's dive into it, to this segment of faith that we have here. Oh, before we dive into it, we got a free ebooks that you can definitely equip yourself, so that if you're new here on the line or new to our Triple F family, we got on our Facebook page, Instagram page, and the DannyCouture.com. You can definitely download this ebook that helps you take actionable steps, right, to increasing your faith, family, and finance. And it's totally our gift to you. Guys, it's definitely our gift. And if you wanted to donate, just message us. You definitely, we would be blessed by your donation as well. But the ebook is free. And thanks to the people behind the scenes, actually with the mind and the brain of this whole operation, Sherry and Virgil, who does the heavy lifting every week, week in and week out. So with that being said, we are excited to have Mindy Chung here with our faith. Miss Chung, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you kind of give a little brief bio of who you are. And before we dive in to things, could you introduce yourself to our Triple F family?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Couture, for this opportunity. Hey, everybody. My name is Mindy, and a little bit about myself. So was raised in Hawaii, born in Seattle, Washington, lived there for the first year of my life, and definitely have loved the Lord for my entire life, ever since I heard about him when I was 7 years old. And I'm currently, my background is in the social work field, where I get to find adoptive homes for kids in foster care that perhaps are not going to get to find their way back to their home. So I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Wow, that's so awesome. So you were born in Seattle, raised up in the 808 state.
Yep, I sure was. I was adopted from, when I was in Washington. My parents adopted me there. My dad was from Hawaii, so he wanted to make sure that I was raised in Hawaii. My mom is from Oregon. And so we came back here when I was 1 year old, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. So let's dive into it. The first question on the slide will be great. Why don't you share a little bit of how your life was before you understood faith, before you became a Christian? What was it like before, prior?
Yeah, so I actually, like I mentioned, I accepted Jesus into my heart when I was 7 years old. But just because we accept Jesus into our heart doesn't mean that everything is boom, you understand how to walk with him. And so it wasn't until you fast forward, and I'm a sophomore in college, and a professor on campus had passed away, and to the entire college campus, he was somebody that had lived his life, just and impacted them because of how he loved Jesus. And so I remember giving my life to God when I was a sophomore in college, like rededicating. So in that time, at that time, I was like on the quest to find the perfect nightclub. I love to dance. And so I was doing that. And a friend of mine who was one of our college's all-star basketball players had got saved in his junior year. And it's my senior year now. And he says, hey, he sends his friends after me and says, we got to get Min because she's going out, and try to find the perfect nightclub. We need to bring her back into the fold and get her, reconnected with the Lord. And so I think also too, like we can tend to wander if we really don't understand, whose we are. And definitely at that point, I didn't. I didn't understand whose I was. I didn't understand what it meant to have a walking out relationship with the Lord. Even though my family had done whatever they could to make sure that they were plugging me into things that would always connect me and give me opportunity to grow. But my growth had been limited up until that point.
Wow. That's so awesome. So you were in college when you found God. And so from that moment on, we'll go here to the next question so we can get it up on the slide. Describe, once you got introduced to it, right? And we all have a coming to Jesus moment, but once you describe your faith, how important it is today, now that you found it, right? Could you share that a bit with our Triple F family?
Absolutely. I think, I looked up the definition of faith, and the definition of faith says complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And, faith for me was so important because it rooted me to who God was. It really anchored me to him. It grew my faith. It grew my, anytime I got a chance to see God moving, anytime I got a chance to experience him, knowing something that I had never, ever shared out loud, and yet he was ministering to me because of that, my confidence in who the Lord was just, it was just like out of control, and I love what it says, that it's complete trust or confidence in someone or something, because that's what rooted me when I was away from home and I'm feeling, like, how do I do this without my family? When I'm, when my friends are saying, are you still doing that God thing? And faith is what kept me anchored to the Lord. Faith is what kept my belief growing, because I would see as he was partnering with me and asking me to partner with him, he's like, hey, look, and I would, like, it would exponentially just blow my mind how much he desired to be in relationship with me, how much he desired to have me know who he was. And so I feel like faith is everything. Like, I'm not sure how people do it without it. It's life can be hard enough with it, but for me, yeah, faith is everything.
Man, that's so awesome. It's well framed and well put. I can sit here and do some takeaways, but I'm gonna keep it moving because I want to definitely abstract everything that we can get from you, because I know you're gonna be a blessing here for someone that's listening live or someone that's listening to a replay here. So we'll go to the next question. Describe some of the issues and the problems describe some of the issues and problems with the lack of faith, that you see in our society today.
Sure. Yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll start with me. you know, in those places, you know, because anybody who has that walking relationship with the Lord, you know that sometimes it's, you know, it's amazing, and other times, you know, the struggle can be real. And I think that with the lack of faith, what I found for myself is that a lack of faith comes from a place of really not knowing, going back to that whole idea. And so, you know, if we don't know, if I don't know whose I am, if I don't understand what God is saying about me and stuff, it causes doubt, it causes fear. I start to question if I've even ever heard from the Lord. You know, and I've had many times like that. I can think of one, you know, I was speaking earlier with your team, you know, and just sharing that I had gone to the Philippines. And well, and when I first was thinking I was going to get to go to the Philippines, you know, and I was putting everything I had into it, it just felt like nothing worked, and I didn't get to go the first time I had put my foot forward. And I felt like God had been the one to pull the rug out from under me. And my faith was shaken in a crazy way. And in that place, what happened to me is I just started to spiral. I started to become depressed. I started to question everything about who he was to me and who he'd been to me and had I even ever heard. And I think that lack of faith, especially like right now, if you take what our world is dealing with and just having to go through a pandemic for the last year and a half, you know, and what happens is the same thing that's happening in our world. In our world, we've become completely disconnected from each other. The things and the social distancing and okay, everybody's on lockdown and, you know, all kinds of different things. And that disconnection has really played and wreaked havoc on us as a society. And so it is with me when my faith starts to falter and I find myself disconnecting from God, and I start finding myself, you know, getting really disillusioned. And, you know, if I'm disconnected already in my world, if I'm then disconnected with my God, then what ends up happening is all of a sudden I'm completely isolated, because I don't have somebody that I'm not in that communication with the Lord anymore. I'm disillusioned with the Lord, you know, I'm disillusioned with how my life is going, and my lack of faith starts to really rock me. You know, I have the privilege of getting to be, you know, co-leaders for our church's healing ministry as well as the prayer team. And we see all the time as people come through our doors, you know, and come to our events and everything. And we have the privilege of sharing with them and praying with them, but we hear kind of what's happened as they physically have been disconnected and now they're spiritually becoming disconnected. And so I think that when we lose that faith, you know, it can be really a precarious kind of place, you know.
Oh, most definitely. I've been there several times, you know, and as you were speaking, I'm like, oh, that's what happened. You know, I mean, you start thinking about seasons, times where you lose hope and you lose faith. I remember when my pastor and spiritual fathers first taught me about the spa and the meaning of the spa, right? To the scripture, prayer, and action. What is the Lord saying to me? And then take action on it. And he said, Danny, if you're not in the word daily, right? If you're not in the word daily, then it's so easy to lose track and lose hope and lose faith. Yeah. It's so easy to get out of alignment, you know? Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because we just had the conversation the other day through discipleship where I shared with him, you know, on this trip, I didn't get to do my spa on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you know, and I didn't get to do it till Tuesday because I was on the trip. But I was sharing with my pastor how much I can feel the difference in my life and how I function, right, when I'm not taking that in, you know, and I think that's leads us to the next question, Mince, on what can we do to solve that problem of a lack of faith, you know?
Sure. Yeah, there's two things that come to mind, and one of them you've just mentioned, and that is that something that's a practical thing that we can do is to get into the Word. So sometimes, we can go through the motion, and like you said, life can do a number on us if we're not intentional about what we're wanting to do. So getting back into the Word and reading the Word, because when we're in the Word, like when I'm reading the Word and stuff, I'm constantly feasting on the things that God needs me to know for my day, and he's giving me the strategy for what I'm going to run into without me even knowing it. I'm reminded of who God is, and I'm reminded of who he says I am, so that when I'm having a hard day, when I've dealt with clients that are so volatile or the situation is just blowing up, if I'm already in the Word, so I'm remembering scripture, and it's just coming up and it's starting to become a part of me. I'm remembering that God says, hey, you know what? I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. And like, I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope in the future. I know these things. And it's like, and it just brings me back, and sometimes it's all I can do. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine at work today, and she was sharing how she was going through a really hard time. And so one of the things that she is doing right now is something that I do too, and that's just playing worship over her, because it's the spoken word. We all know, right? We know that when there's a spoken word over us and it's negative, it can wreck us for years. So how much more powerful to let the spoken word of the Word, or the spoken word in worship, be the thing that washes over us, be the thing that we allow our mind to focus on. So that's the first thing. The second thing that comes to mind is to really be intentional about how we build relationship with God. If your relationship is every 7 days on a church day when you go to church, or every holiday, right, then we don't really have a relationship. If you and I only knew each other and we met each other, let's say one time, I couldn't say to people that I have a relationship with Danny Katoa. I am an acquaintance to you at that point. But you and I, for the last 9 years, have grown our relationship from acquaintance to, business partners, to you being a business mentor to me, to us being friends, to you being my brother in Christ. And it's been progressive because we've been intentional about spending time with each other and spending time with each other's families and getting to know one another, right? And so it has to be with the Lord. We have to be intentional about how we build our relationship with him. Let me speak to those of you on the line that are, you remember what it's like to fall in love, right? To just be so taken with this person that you're watching, right? And that person is on your mind 24/7. You just are wondering, what are they doing? What did they do? How do they think like that? Oh my gosh, I've never even thought about something like that. And it's constant, it's perpetual. And it's how it should be with us, right? That we would be so in love and enamored with the Lord that we would want him to know about what happened. And not from a, I need a magic genie kind of place, but from a, man, I can't wait to tell my dad about this. I can't wait to tell him what happened, or I can't wait to hear what he wants to say and what he wants to tell me. So those two things for sure are things that I think would really, speak to that.
No, that's so good, because I think, what I see and experience most times in people is that it's more like of a Sunday drive, right? Like, they just, with faith, I go to a building on Sunday, and it's the pastor's job to fix my problem and equip me. That's not what I do. And I know I used to have that same conversation. It was like, as long as I'm tithing, I'm doing my part in contributing to the church. And it was so far from the truth, in what you just explained about building a relationship with the Lord, and in our own personal walk, in our own personal spheres of influence. that takes time and it takes commitment, just like any relationship that we have with someone, our spouse, significant other, children, nieces, nephew, and things of that nature. It takes a level of commitment and a level of intentionality in order for anything to grow. And I think most times, I can't speak for anybody else, but prior to knowing this and understanding this, means I only went to him when I was in need, and Jesus help me. And I think that's what most people are at. It's like, I need this, and I need this. And I there's a quote that I learned through my process that say that God doesn't respond to needs, he responds to a seed. What seed are you sowing? That he will be able to help you cultivate and release blessings or anointing over that seed. Man, that was so good, Mince. We moving right along. You making this too easy. Making this too easy.
Can I say something before you go to the next one?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think that, if we go back to looking from the vantage point of, the pandemic that we have all been having to adjust to and stuff, I think that one of the things that I was struck by as I was at a prayer meeting with our church, and it was early on in this pandemic, and I just felt like God said, hey, listen, here's what I need to do. I need my kids' attention. And so I cannot leave different parts of the world open, or everybody will just go to those parts of the world because they so don't want to get stuck in the four walls of their house or their state or whatever. And I felt like what he was saying is, man, I have to shut the world down because I wanted to get the attention of my people and say, listen, what I need is I need you. I need you ready for the things that are coming. But I'm not going to give you a fax that states the 411 on what's coming. What I am going to say is, kids, can you look right here? Can you make sure that you are that your gaze is not set on all the fears around you, but your gaze is actually set on me. I need you in conversation with me. I need you, growing in me. And I felt like he was just saying I had to shut the world down for that to happen so distraction could cease. And I think for a while it was that eyes were on him, But I think that in anything, we have to be so diligent in how we pursue, and that we are, that we're just always in the business of doing that. Because I feel like for all of us, even for those who don't know Jesus yet, I feel like he's saying, hey, listen, I just need your attention. Please don't veer from looking at me eye to eye, because there's so much stuff that is around you right now that's just pulling at you, and fear is growing, and pettiness is growing, and all these kinds of things are growing, and people are forgetting that, that they're for human beings. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, if sometimes, I've been focusing on Psalm 23, and especially on verse 5, when it says, it's talked about how God has walked us through and laid us down in green pastures and beside still waters. And, he's restoring our soul. And in verse 5, it says, he prepares a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. We have so much what they call white noise in our head, so much stuff. We're inundated every single day by information about COVID, vaccination versus unvaccinated. All this kind of stuff is just all right here. And all God is saying, if you read Psalm 23, is he's saying, hey, listen, I'm the one that's going to lead you beside the still waters into green pastures, which represent abundance. I'm going to actually focus on preparing a table before you. And I'm not even looking at the enemies that are all around you that they're saying, here's what you should do. I'm actually focused on the fact that I'm preparing this table for you because you are the delight of my heart. You're the one that I so am longing to spend time with. And I think that for us, if we can stop long enough to remember that the God of the universe is actually so desiring this personal relationship with us, and will wait as long as it takes for us to show up, I'm telling you, things will shift in a massive way. I'll turn it back over to you.
Wow. Wow. I'm not even going to touch that. It's just so packed beautifully. Well said and well put. We just want to say hello to some of our friends and family that are chiming on YouTube, our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, our website, and our social media platform, Facebook and Instagram. So we're excited. Thank you. Continue to share this information, guys. Help us spread the light. Darkness is not our problem. It's just a lack of light. And so, yes, aloha, June. Welcome. Thank you so much, June and Emmeline on YouTube. And as we come to a close, Mince, I mean, you just shared so much right there. Was so profound. What can we do practically? What are some practical ways that you can offer the Triple F family, somebody that may be listening to this live or maybe listen to this 6 months from now, 2 months from now, 6 days from now, how can they continue to strengthen their faith or take that first step? You know, I know sometimes, as you alluded to earlier, shame, guilt, doubt, for some people, they may say, I know I used to feel this way, I just testify, that I wasn't worthy, you know, and I realized that that's a lack of identity. I didn't see how God saw me. I only saw how I, you know, saw myself. And so what could you offer someone as we come to a close here? Some practical ways to strengthen their faith and also break off the bondage, you know, break that stronghold in their family and set the trajectory of their family or the next generation on the right path.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you know, sometimes it can seem so looming. How would we do that? How would we change the situation that we're in and move into a new situation, right? So I would just really encourage you to take little tiny bite-sized pieces. So maybe tomorrow what you do, you know, is you challenge yourself from this Thursday night to next Thursday night when you join us again. And, you know, and you put yourself on a love challenge. Like if you know, like first that you would, you know, on day one that you would just, how could I love myself today? What are some amazing things about me? And you just start writing them down, you know, and then on the next day, if you still need more time, you can go and use that time. But, you know, like, you know, maybe it's how can I love the people that are so irritating me at work right now? And what's one act of kindness I can do that won't matter if they respond positively or not? How can I be better today? You know, maybe this world has been stressing you out. Maybe it's causing you all kinds of anxiety. So when you walk around, your face is kind of showing that, you know, just like, you know, and just irritated. Well, maybe tomorrow, as you practice a random act of love or kindness, maybe when you pass somebody, you'll look them in the eye and you just smile. Because I'm telling you what, there are so many people out there that are feeling like, what's the point? You know, and so just doing something practical like that and just loving on yourself and loving on the people that are around you, that's a fantastic start. You know, we talked about, you know, getting in the Word. We talked about building those relationships with the Lord, you know, but take it small. And I used to tell God, I still tell God, like I would tell him, hey, listen, you know, how can I just change my mindset? Like it's a lifetime of stuff. How can I just do it? And he said, you just do it. You just do it. And so if you know, like maybe you don't know the Lord and you know somebody that does, I would get with your friend and say, hey, can we have a chat about Jesus? Can you tell me a little bit more about who he is to you? In Hawaii, we call it talking story. And we just encourage you to talk story with people, talk story with Jesus, talk story with people, you know, like you don't have to have a perfect anything. He's just so glad when we show up. He's so glad when we take a time and just talk with him. And the way I'm talking to you and the way that Danny is talking to you tonight, that's how we talk to Jesus. It's really that simple. So,
amen. Amen. No, that's so awesome. I so appreciate the wisdom, Mins, and I think taking that first step, small steps you mentioned earlier for people. And one of the things the Lord put in my heart as you were speaking is don't compare yourselves to others' journey, right? Like, because the world does that to us, especially when we see someone who's walking in faith, and you have no idea the journey that they have gone through, the roller coaster, right? All you see is the finished product of that particular person. But my encouragement, and I stand in agreement with Ms. Chung, is take the small steps. You know, take that first step of action, and soon, man, you're going to look back 90 days from now and say, wow, look at what God has done. Then you're going to look back 6 months from now and say, whoa, look at what God has done. I'll share a quick story, and then I will wrap up. Mindy, is this weekend I was at a basketball game in the mainland, and we won the game in overtime by the last shot with like 0.7 seconds left. And I realized that, you know, referees don't win game, players do. But sometimes the ref can mess up a call that may seem like it affects the game, right? And so I turned to this parent who was sitting next to me on the opposing team, and we've been cheering back and forward. And I say, man, you guys got robbed. Sorry that you have to lose this way, right? His response to me was just totally the opposite. He said, well, you can celebrate that win. It looks like you needed it more than I do. I don't need that win. And I'm telling you the story because if you revert back about 9 years ago, 7 years ago, I would have popped him in the mouth. You know, that would have been the first thing. It's like, man, I just try to apologize to you or sympathize with you. And it was so funny. I said, are you okay, brother? And but he continued to keep raising his voice. And it was so funny because none of that bothered me because I was so grounded, you know, in the work. I've been doing the work on myself. So that when moments like that, I'm unbothered. And anyways, I end up diffusing the situation. He got into it with some other people that were around. I diffused that as well. And it was so funny because on our drive home, my brother said, bro, you changed a lot, you know? And I said, man, I've been around some good people, some great people that have sown into my life. And yeah, it was just a magical moment to see how far I have come. Because the same similar situation, or it doesn't even have to be that. I mean, that one was a minor situation. I was still popped up, you know, and and to think that to break that stronghold for my spirit and my demeanor and my DNA, who I am and whose I am, it's a huge victory of doing the work, you know. And I share that not to show off about me, but I share that is that when we do the work, that's what you were saying, is when we do the work, God does the rest. He meets us. He's the one that brings the multiplication. He's the one that brings the overflow. He's the one that brings the blessings. And he's only looking for us to be obedient. So Mindy Chung, thank you for being obedient to calling you to come here to our show and share your walk. and not just share it, but to talk it at the same time, not just to walk it, but to talk about and testify about what God is doing, not only in your spheres of influence, but in the marketplace and in the body of the church as well. So
thank you so much.
We appreciate you. Clark Burton, all the way from Tennessee. Welcome. We love you guys, Triple F family. I hope you find this show amazing. Look, we got an amazing show next week coming up. It's going to be on family, and it's going to be my family that's going to be here. I'm going to be questioning them through it. But make sure you get the 21 actionable steps to increase your faith, your family, finances. Guys, this is from all of our prior shows. We have packaged it together. Well, when I say we, the people in the background, that Sherry and Virgil, all I do is run my mouth. But this ebook can help empower you in the process and take the first steps. Stop delaying it. Let's get to it and let's make it happen. So make sure you go and download it on our all of our Facebook pages, Instagram, and the DannyCouture.com. Okay? Love you guys, and we'll see you guys next week on our show. Here's make sure you subscribe